Falcom. So, this is E6. I was actually waiting for this version to come out on Steam before I decided to record it, because otherwise I would have to record the initial release version, which is in a box. And, XE's version's all cool in widescreen and everything, which looks a little better. It's got all these options here. There's also a help menu that's basically sort of like a manual, tells you like stuff about the game, but I'm going to go over those later anyway, so there's not much point in going through them now. So...
And the game's in HD.
Yeah. So this game, this version of the game has 2 modes. Pick your difficulty, and then you can pick between standard and catastrophe mode. Standard mode is basically what you got in initial release, and I'll explain what that is like later when we get to it. But catastrophe mode is the one I'm gonna pick, and basically that means you can't use like healing items and stuff, and I'll explain what that's all about. But first we got this intro.
I like that water.
This water is really good for 2003.
I like how the trees are moving too. I hope he's not dead.
I hope not too, because then that means there's no game. That's us.
That's a really awkward running animation. That was a pretty good anime. I was thinking the exact same thing. And that intro probably has nothing to do with the game, or very little.
Actually, it's kind of like E's Origin. It's got like a good bit to do with the game, except it's kind of half and half on that one, actually, really. Whereas like with E's Origin, everything in the intro is like completely relevant. That one is kind of like it's both stuff that happens like kind of before and during the game. It's more like an anime intro. Also, this game, E's Origin kind of played a little bit more like a dungeon crawler because it kind of was like a dungeon crawler, sort of. This one plays a lot more like like a normal RPG, like an action RPG though. Also, I don't think this intro goes on as long as E's Origin. It's a little bit shorter, well, quite a bit shorter actually. I think we get like free will in like a little while.
Yeah, the intro in E's Origin was super long.
Yeah.
It's like reading an essay. And then finally you finish reading it, and then you can start grading it. Oh, he woke up. She's still afraid of him.
Yeah, so the best thing we could do is go after her. So now we have free will. We can actually move around. Yeah, you move around by just moving.
And you can jump.
Yep. Oh, you can also go up the ladders. You can't really do anything once you're up there, but you if you see a ladder in somebody's house, you can go right up and down it. I don't know why that's there, but it is.
He just walks up. Well, he doesn't even use his hands to go up the ladder.
Well, see, it's because Adolf Kristen is like Gordon Freeman. He doesn't need to use his hand when he goes up ladders.
Let's not get carried away now. Yeah, so Adol doesn't actually talk in game. He can speak, but like he doesn't have like any of his own actual dialogue. He just kind of speaks through the narration. It's just like basically nodding his head yes or no.
Well, he can talk, and he is talking. It's just we don't actually get to see his dialogue. Is basically the idea. I think it might have something to do with the fact that like all the Ys games, they kind of take place like in the distant past. Like essentially, Adol Kristen is our main hero, and every Ys game is basically an adventure journal that he left behind. Like basically like his memoirs that he wrote, and each game is basically like another chapter of his story.
So they're just reading the diary that he left behind.
I think that's essentially the idea, and Ys Celceta kind of like really reinforces that.
I would like to see his face.
We already saw his face a couple times.
Yeah.
We saw it in the prologue. We saw it in the anime.
We saw it when he was sleeping for a few seconds.
Well, but we're gonna see a lot more of it as time goes by.
Yeah, unless he wears a mask during the entire game.
Wow. These are a lot of questions you can ask. It's good to ask these questions though, because then you get like more information about the story and you're not just kind of going through blindly. And if it's your first time playing, you're going to want to ask all those questions so you kind of know what you're doing. Otherwise you're kind of bumbling through blind.
Yeah, there's a lot of information in the beginning.
Yeah, later on when it comes to asking people questions and even talking to townspeople, because I like talking to townspeople in this game, because like they got their own stories going on too, and it's kind of neat to see like their lives like just go on as you're doing all this stuff. Like it kind of makes the world kind of feel alive, because like you have these NPCs living their own lives like completely separate from everything you're doing. And I like talking to the townspeople in this game, but I don't know how many people like also like talking to townspeople, so those are just gonna be their own separate videos.
Yeah, it kind of feels like it's life. Like you have your own story, and then you're talking to other people who have their own story. Then you learn.
So you can just go into people's houses. You can also climb all their ladders.
But you can't do anything.
You can't do anything once you're up a ladder, but you can climb it. I don't know why that's there. I don't know why you can climb up their ladders. You can't do anything, but...
He jumps really high.
Alright, so this is Kevin, and that's all he sells in Catastrophe mode. In Standard mode, he'll sell, like, healing items and stuff, but you can't use healing items in Catastrophe mode. In Catastrophe mode, sometimes when you beat monsters, they'll drop healing items, just like in Standard mode. But in Standard mode, you can equip those healing items and use them. In Catastrophe mode, it kind of forces you to use them the second you pick them up.
Kind of like in Ys Origin.
Yeah, kind of like Ys Origin. The monuments, you can save at them, kind of like Ys Origin. You can also fast travel to them in this version of the game. I don't like to do that though, because it could break the game, and I'll talk a little bit more about that later. So you get your basic like 3-hit combo. Jump around, you can do like this upward twirl, and you attack on the ascent of your jump. And if you attack on the descent of your jump, you do this little downward strike. Different enemies are sometimes vulnerable to the different kind of strikes. And there's also a lunge attack. You do the lunge attack by just tapping the direction you want to lunge attack in, and then hitting the attack button. And you can take it one step further, and you can do this long jump maneuver by doing your lunge attack and then jumping immediately after, and it can get you to some places that would be harder to reach otherwise, or impossible to reach otherwise. There aren't a whole lot of parts in the game where you really need to use it though, like only like 3 or 4. Once you get it down, it's pretty easy to do. It's a little easier to do in this version than in like the initial release version though.
Is it required to do those, or are those for like optional equipment and items?
It's mostly for like optional stuff, but like if you want to do that optional stuff, or you want to get that optional stuff, it kind of is required, but you only really need it in like 3 spots. These are like some really weak monsters, but they take forever for us to kill because we just got to level 2.
Well, yeah, level 2 now. Takes forever. These monsters remind me of From the Abyss. Those plant things that just spit out poison.
Every level we get, it's not exact, but we get at least about like 3 strength and 3 defense. Also, there's a Kapla water. When you open up chests in Catastrophe mode, you always get Kapla water, but when you open them in normal mode, you get healing items and tool items. The reason being what I said before, you can't use healing items on your own in Catastrophe mode. Also, we can go up here. This is the northern part of Quatera Woods. We don't really want to come here yet because we can't do any damage to this monster. Also, it does damage in the triple digits.
1 KO.
Yeah, so don't go up there. Not yet, anyway. We'll go there later. For now, we have to go find Isha. because she's running around away from us because she's really scared. Here's some Redden kids we could talk to. I don't really want to talk to them though. If we go over here, we can see a chest over there in the distance, but we can't get to it.
Can you swim?
You can't swim because Adol's got a whole bunch of armor on.
You can take the armor off and swim and then get the chest and then come back.
That underwater path is too deep to cross, even though his whole face was underwater.
He should get bigger boots. Then his head wouldn't be under the water.
Well, then you'd have to find them, and then you'd have to take his current greaves off, and that'd just be a hassle.
Weren't you doing like 5 damage to them before?
Well, we leveled up.
That was a big increase in damage.
Yeah. The thing about Ease is, like, that guy wasn't here before.
Yeah, what the heck is he doing now?
But the thing about Ease is that one level can kind of make all the difference, and I'm gonna demonstrate that a little later. But for now, we can talk to Largo, and he basically stands guard outside of the village.
Ask for advice.
I'm not gonna ask him for advice. I don't need advice. I'm MLG Pro at this game.
Well, I mean, all you have to do is just climb this mountain. That's not even a mountain.
It's kind of a hill, really. So we have to go talk to Ord and Silva because, well, we got to talk to him, and we also got to explore these areas in order to trigger what's coming up next.
Where's the experience bar?
The experience bar is that tiny little orange thing right above the health bar. It's really hard to see. It's in between.
I just saw it move.
Yeah, it's right under Adol's name and above the health bar. I actually don't remember whether or not that was in the initial release version. Now, if we come over here, there's a sneaky chest right over here to the left.
Oh my god. That's so sneaky.
Now, when we first get to this area, if you go all the way to the right, you can see the chest on the right of the screen, and that's what's in there in regular mode. That's the only way you can get to that chest. It's really sneaky.
What does the Kappa water do?
I think in catastrophe mode, I don't remember if it does anything different in normal mode. I'll have to check that. But in catastrophe mode, it cures status effects. I think, like, it cures all your status effects. Also, I think in normal mode it might also fully heal you, or almost fully heal you.
So it's like an elixir.
Yeah,